Vinks, you know how it is wear blue for rescue at Battersea this month. Well, that's why we're going down there today to meet JoAnna Puzzo, who works on the cat team at Battersea, to meet some of their residents and check out their wonderful refurbished cattery. I'm Anna Webb. Welcome to A Dog's Life. JoAnna Puzzo, it is so lovely to meet you in real life.
You too, yeah, it's great.
Oh, well, I can't believe that we're in this really new part of Battersea.
Absolutely.
The last time I was here, actually, it was a building site, putting it bluntly. So it's really lovely to see what's been built. And trying to be a bit quiet because I feel I mustn't disturb the cats. Because you're one of Battersea's cat experts.
Cat expert, that's very kind of you. So I'm the feline behavior and training manager here at Battersea, and as you said, one of the kind of tenets of our stress management program is keeping things nice and quiet. We sort of say, act as if you're in a library, because cats are very sort of sensitive creatures, and they do like nice quiet surroundings, and we even have little decibel readers that we'll sometimes go around the floors with to just pick up how much noise there is, and even just kind of talking, not like we are now because we're being very quiet, but just normal conversation can be a little bit too high. So it just goes to show little things like that can impact on stress with cats. So we're just very hot on managing their stress while they're here, making sure they're comfortable and happy, trying to get them out into new homes as quick as possible as well.
Yes, because there's been a lot of abandonment of cats of late. We're always thinking about dogs almost, but the cat situation has been the worst in, several years?
Yeah, the last 5 years, I think this is the highest number of cats that we've seen coming into us, and that's across all our 3 sites. And I would say a couple weeks ago, we had 15 cats brought into us, basically abandoned in our reception area. That's just one day. And that's something that's just been continuing on throughout this summer. We're still getting large numbers of cats brought into us. We think it's a hangover from the pandemic and lockdown, when a lot of neutering operations weren't happening. All of the vets were sort of, closed, and non-essential operations, which unfortunately neutering fell into that category, weren't happening. So the population just exploded, loads of just kittens everywhere, and it seems like it's been one unending kitten season, as well as just adult cats coming into us.
And it's hard to find, I would imagine, the right owners, because it's right that Battersea is fussy. That's absolutely what has to be done, because there's nothing worse than an abandoned, even cruelly treated kitten ending up being shoved from pillar to post. It'd be lovely to talk about some of the personalities here and who you think would make a good match for. I noticed there's Mulder and Scully over there.
Yeah.
They caught my eye because I'm a bit partial to a black cat.
Oh, I love black cats. They're the best. But exactly like you said, it's all about what's best for the cat. And so when we're trying to match them with the right home, we want to make sure it is their forever home. That's it. That's the last stop on their journey. So it means just looking at the lifestyle of the owner. What are their working hours? Do they have other pets? Do they have children? Do they have a garden? And just trying to pick from many of our cats to see who would fit for them. We have so many cats that there is bound to be a cat for everyone. We've got our other sites as well, one at Old Windsor, one at Brent's Hatch. So while I guess you could describe us as a bit fussy, I think it's just that matching process that is so particular. And we try to assess all of our cats for what kind of temperament they are, what are their behavioral needs, what are their likes and dislikes. It is kind of like a dating service, except you're looking for your happily ever after here, so we want to make sure that we get it right for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like with dogs. I always say that you need the right dog for your experience,
Absolutely.
Your accommodation, and your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And, cats have been so not as studied as dogs. I suppose it's the best way to sort of explain it. I've only had 2 cats, one just for a year, and my previous dear gremlin for 13. Now, they've both strong personalities. So I can't wait to meet a few different cats just to get an idea of the range of character, because obviously from a dog perspective, Dogs come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, personalities and preferences, you know, and I guess it's so true with cats.
And I think there is a misconception that with cats, sometimes it's a one-size-fits-all. A cat is a cat is a cat. But actually, that's so far from the truth.
I get this now.
Yes.
You see, I'm 14 years only into cats.
Yeah.
You know, whereas dogs, it's been, you know, dare I say it, 59 years, you know, so it's a longer time.
Yeah.
But I am enchanted at the moment by cats.
Yeah.
Because when we recorded a podcast on International Cat Day, I could have talked for years because I just find cats so fascinating. You know, because where dogs are being studied to an inch of their lives almost, with the most silly studies that, you know, dog owners smile more than non-dog owners. It's, well, you know, kind of, you can just work that out yourself. But, you know, but with cats, you can't study them as much. So they're enigmatic.
They are. They're very enigmatic, and they hide everything. They hide their emotion. They hide how they're feeling. They hide any weakness or pain. So not only are they a very difficult species to study, but like you said, they've not been domesticated as long as dogs, so we don't have as much research and learning behind that. You know, pet cats haven't been around as long as pet dogs, and at the same time, the whole kind of research field around cat behavior is still extremely young. There's still so much we don't know, and I think what can happen is people will say, well, I've had cats all my life, I know what I'm doing, I know what a cat is, and you might, and that's very true. You very much might know that, but I think it's just looking at the cat not only as a species, what are the needs and the priorities of the species, but also as individuals. And here at Battersea, I think we're really good at looking at each individual, what's best for that cat. You know, he might need a garden, whereas the guy next door might be fine as an indoor cat. But we don't want to label each one as fine for indoor, because that would be doing the species a disservice.
Yes, sure. No, I guess there's a big argument on indoor-outdoor cats that could be discussed for ages and ages. Oh gosh,
yes, that's another podcast.
That's a whole podcast, exactly.
Especially in my country, you know, I'm from America, and that's a big conversation because of the wildlife and roads, and, you know, houses are kind of not, you know, we don't have terraced housing, so cats are much more prone to road traffic accidents as well. It's much safer in the UK to let them outside to explore the natural habitat that they have, you know, evolved to thrive in. So, it's, you know, what's best for the cats, really.
Yes, and it is this thing, isn't it, that sometimes cats do choose you. Have you ever seen, you know, people come to, you know, see a particular cat and then find that cat actually was a bit, do you know what? I don't like you.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And then someone else maybe comes to see another cat, and then by accident there's a connection with somebody else.
Absolutely. I think anybody can come into Battersea and have a preconceived notion of what they want. You know, I want the ginger, fluffy guy who's at the front of the pen. They go in and he walks away and he says, no thank you, I'm not interested. And then they see something that they had no intention of, you know, wanting to take home, and that cat decides, actually no, I'm choosing you. Maybe it's the cat kind of making that choice. So I think cats are very particular. You know, they can pick up our nuances, they can pick up our anxieties and our feelings and how we're feeling. And, you know, I think sometimes it's a bit of a match of that energy when it comes to homing a cat.
Interesting, yes, energy, because they do seem to be on a different energy level to dogs.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I think so. I think it's more, just like we said earlier, a bit more enigmatic, maybe mysterious. We don't know that much about them, whereas dogs don't, they just kind of give everything away. They're just like out there. At least I'm not a dog person in terms of behaviors. They've had their time. This is the cat's time now.
It is the cat's time. Well, honestly, the two cats obviously that I've had, I mean, I believe they're telepathic. And I left Baggy, this stray, you know, that turned up on my doorstep. It was like he knew there was a vacancy, and you know, he didn't have a chip, and he was in a really bad way. So, and then, well, no, I mean, Battersea were brilliant because I was on a list, but it was a 3-month waiting list. So the 3 months passed, and you know, I got a phone call, and I said, well, look, no, I can't get rid of him now. He's happy here, you know, and I've done a lot of work desensitizing Prudence, my miniature bull terrier, to him and everything. Not that he's phased. I mean, he looks at Prudence sometimes, and it does make me laugh. It's that look of, what on earth are you?
Yeah.
You know,
Why are you here?
Why are you even here? You're just such a dumbwit. And I just love it. And it's this expression, because he's got slightly wonky eyes.
Oh, okay.
I know, don't know what happened. He's got a broken jaw, so he's got no bone.
Yeah.
So I know.
Oh, that's like the typical kind of cat I think I would bring home.
Yeah,
the broken ones.
The broken ones. I love
yeah,
broken and
yeah.
fixing. That's something, it's a passion of mine, actually.
Yeah. But I think it's a good point there with the cat sort of almost looking down on the dog. Because, I think there is that joke that cats do, it is their place, and they put the dog in their place. And I think oftentimes people worry about, the dog being the one that might bully the cat. But we see the videos online of cats just standing in the way, and a dog's terrified to even get past the cat. So I think cats usually are the ones that rule the roost.
Yes.
As it should be.
As it should be, in their own, they're like deities.
Yeah, all the Egyptians had it right, I think.
I know.
With that one, and they've never forgotten it. So why not keep treating them that way? That's what I say.
Exactly. JoAnna, amazing. Well, shall we pause and maybe go meet some cats?
Well, we certainly can. I mean, one of my favorites actually is just over here.
Oh, great.
So this is Maxwell. And he is, he's a young man. I think he's in his kind of early years.
I was going to say, how do you, work out age in cats?
So if we don't have a history from a previous owner, then the vets can actually look at their teeth and kind of the shape of them and how, how well they're maintained, and be able to kind of age a cat. It is a rough estimate, but they can age a cat based on their teeth, their overall condition, do they have any lumps and bumps? Sometimes the eyes can age as well. I believe with Maxwell, he came in as a gift, what we call a gift. So he did have a previous owner. So we do know relatively kind of well what his age is. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I know he is a young man. But he did come in with a previous injury to his back leg. So he needed surgery to kind of resurface the femur. I don't know the ins and outs of it. So he does walk with a bit of a limp, but he's recovered very, very well. And if you see him, if he does kind of pop out a little bit, you'll see that he's part Le Perm. So he's got the kind of crinkly, he looks like he's had a perm that's kind of washed out a bit, kind of crinkly fur.
Is that a breed of cat?
It is, Le Perm, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Le Perm.
It's the first one I've seen here.
Sounds like something from the 70s.
Le Perm, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. So yeah, he's a great guy. He's really cuddly and sweet. He's up for rehoming. He's on our website as well, and he's just really sweet. It's hard to describe him any other way. He just kind of totters out and sits and looks at you, and where's my fuss kind of thing.
So would he be a good indoor cat, do you think?
Well, because of the injury and the surgery he's had, he's recovered really well, and actually he gets along really well on his bad leg. So he can still have a garden. I would say maybe not a really busy garden where if he got into trouble, he might get stuck somewhere. So he could live, have outside access, just as most of our cats can. So yeah, we would require that for him. Potentially a young family, just someone, who's around for him to have his cuddles. Yeah, he's just a really sweet guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Maxwell, I love all the lovely enrichment you've got in there for him. I've seen Battersea's big on enrichment.
Absolutely.
And that's key for everyone to, maintain when the cats come into their homes. So,
what we can find is obviously with the really bold, friendly cats, they're much more prone to becoming frustrated because things, they get bored quickly. So we do things like puzzle feeders where they have to work out how to get the food out of them. Even timed feeders that open up in the night so they have something to look forward to. We do enrichment boxes full of things like leaves and toys and things they've got to dig out. Tunnels, all sorts of things. One of the biggest things we do as well is socializing. So we've got our lovely volunteers who sit with the cats and just spend time with them. And that could be just sitting quietly with a cat on your lap while you read a book, or it could be playing with the cat, or just getting loads of fuss. So we're pretty lucky that we've got a great army of volunteers that really do a lot for our cats as well.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. So how do you become a volunteer? I think I want to be one.
Oh, great. Well, we have an application online, so anybody can apply to be a cattery support volunteer. We also have kennel volunteers, office volunteers, everything you can think of. We do a full induction where we teach you about our stress management program, our interaction guidelines. You can then pick a shift, either morning or evening, morning or afternoon. We wish we had evening. And yeah, full training is done for everyone. So yeah, I believe the applications, when we have them live, they're up on the website for anybody to apply to become a volunteer with us.
Splendid. Well, that's really good to know, and I'm sure a lot of people might find great comfort if they've just lost their pet.
Exactly,
to
yeah.
spend a bit of time
Or
sharing thoughts with
or maybe
a cat.
if you travel a lot and you can't have a cat yourself, it's a great way to come and spend time with the cats and then get that from yourself as well. Or fostering. We've got fostering as well. So if you wanted to become a foster care, that's another way to help us out with those cats that don't really cope on site and just need a nice warm home to go to for a bit.
Sure, no, absolutely. But I love the kennel arrangements here, or cat kennel arrangements.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So you get individual sponsors for certain categories. I mean, are these are kennels, really, aren't they? I mean, let's
we
face
call
it.
them pens. I think kennels tends to be more
cabins.
Cabins.
I like the cabin idea.
Yeah,
These
cabins, little cabin.
Yeah.
But we've got a scheme where you can sponsor a pen and you have your name put onto the pen itself. And it could be some in memoriam to someone, or as a birthday present, or a loved one, things like that. So it's a really nice way to be able to support a pen. And we have one here actually, which is sponsored by Jacqueline Wilson. I believe she's the children's author, and she actually has visited us a few times and has rehomed a cat from us in the past. So. We do have a few famous faces that support us.
Yeah, no, of course you do.
Yeah.
Loads, you do, yes. No, it's brilliant. So, JoAnna, it is September, and that is an important month for Battersea.
It is. So it is our Wear Blue for Rescue month. And with this month, we're basically just celebrating rescue, almost, rescue as a breed in and of itself. Just promoting, rescue cats and dogs, how fantastic they are, that you should rehome from rescues. And we're also doing a few events, so Walk for Rescue, which details can be found on our website. You can sign up for a free pet tag if you want to support. So there's many ways to support Wear Blue for Rescue. There's merchandise that you can wear just to promote it as well. And it's just our way to get rescues front and center and to say, come, rescue a cat from us or any charity, because they are the best breed.
Well, they are. Well, rescue is the best breed, no?
So this guy, he was actually found wandering around our site a couple of days ago.
Really?
We don't know where he's come from.
He's doing his scent marking, look.
He is, and he's also basically asking for attention. He's a really sweet cat. So we think he might be somebody's cat who has just lost his way. So we will, scour kind of lost and found websites and things like that, but also just give an owner a chance to come forward before we do anything, because he could be somebody's pet that's just been lost. But
yeah, because obviously the compulsory cat microchipping hasn't been in for that long, and I think a lot of people maybe you haven't had a chance or even to get a vet appointment to get it done,
Exactly.
Do you offer free chipping here, by the way?
I don't think we do.
It's something we do for all the cats in our care.
Yes.
But for free microchipping, we kind of suggest that people look into local charities and whether there's the C4
scheme.
Yeah.
So there's we do microchip everything that comes through our door.
Of course.
They're neutered, they're microchipped, vaccinated, fleed, and wormed. And then they also have any necessary treatments or operations that they need. But yes, we certainly direct anyone to kind of low-cost vet clinics or other charities. Some of them do offer free microchipping as well. So from June, basically, it is compulsory now for cats. And we're hoping it means we can reunite more cats with owners, because historically it's never easy. We don't reunite that many. Unfortunately, he isn't microchipped.
No, clearly. Bless him. He's got such a lovely face. And then we've got Spotty next door, his neighbour.
So little Spotty, he's quite a young man, incredibly friendly. Strangely, we have a lot of black and white cats and black cats at the moment that they do get overlooked for, your gingers and your tabbies.
You see, for me, I'd be the opposite.
I'm the black cat. I've always loved a black cat.
Yes.
And black and white. But Spotty, he's beautiful, and he's a really sweet cat. Would love to live with the family. He does need a garden, as he's quite active and quite adventurous. But he's just He's a really sweet cat.
Gosh. I mean, is there anything to do with the breeding? You know, if you've seen more black and white and black cats, or is it because people don't like them as much and want to abandon, because there's so much, you know, myth around the black cat, witchcraft. And
I don't know if it is that, because, you know, in America, where I'm from, I often hear they're unlucky, but here, I think it's often the opposite, that they are lucky.
I think it's mixed, actually.
Is it
I
mixed?
believe they're lucky when a black cat crosses your path. I remember as a child, my mum, she was Swedish, so whether it's an old Scandinavian thing, that was like you had to say a wish if the black cat, it was like such a big deal. So I don't know, but it's all silly, isn't it?
I think so. And I think a lot of it is as well just that, you know, the gingers and tabbies get snapped up quicker, so sadly it means we are left with more of the black and white and black cats. And there's some research that's dabbled into coat color and what that means about personality.
Yes, I've read a bit of this.
Yeah, some does suggest that black and white cats are more gregarious, more outgoing, more friendly and bold. I don't know too much about those studies to say, oh yes, that's definitely, you know, true. Certainly more studies I think would need to be done, but the ones that we have here are fantastic, and I would say personality should be kind of the most important thing really when it comes to choosing a cat.
I mean, I just love watching Spotty there because he's so composed in his own company. He's not getting frustrated, or he just seems really content watching everybody going by.
Exactly.
You know, which is a good sign. Whereas I think Ginger one, it's just my observation, is trying to compensate a little bit now for being in here. Not in a bad way, but you know, I think he is thinking, I'd like to be on the other side.
I think he would like to be with us, just probably one of those that kind of crawls, you know,
That's
climbs up you. And you can see with him as well that he might be a little bit more prone to frustration because he is just, I want to get out, what's going on the other side of that door.
Yes.
So we may have to think about, there he goes.
He's worked out the handle.
He's kind of thinking about the handle.
You're almost there.
So we'll probably keep a close eye on him in terms of frustration. And one of the things that we can do is even film them overnight. So we have little cameras that we use to film them, because that's when, you know, cats are crepuscular, so they become quite active around dusk, and so that's when they might start to think, right, I need to get out, I need to be outside and hunting and things like that. So we sometimes can see cats like him become a little bit frustrated. We'll then need to make a plan, you know, do we need an overnight feeder, more enrichment, something to kind of keep him going, or just, you know, get him through our system as quick as possible, get him neutered, sorted, and then rehomed.
Why is he not neutered?
No, not yet. So because he's still in what we call stray days, so we have 7 stray days to allow an owner to come forward. We can't do anything unless we need to give sort of life-saving treatment or anything like that. So he is still unneutered. And we will take care of that hopefully soon.
That would account for his scent marking, then, wouldn't it? Really.
So he's already.
He might have been a stray all along, you know.
Well, you do get these strays that have just lived like this. You know, he's incredibly friendly. He's probably worked out who to go to for food. Probably has quite a few quote-unquote owners, you know, people who are looking out for him.
He probably thought, you know, I've heard of this place, Battersea.
Yeah, I know where to go to have my free healthcare.
Yes, I'm going to have a cat pen all to myself.
Exactly.
And yes, they'll find me my forever home. How funny. He's great. He's like a real artful dodger, though, type, isn't he?
That's why he's named that. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So he's, and just finding him wandering around the site, you know.
You know, naming cats, do you do it like for their markings, like with Spotty, or, you know, like with Dodger? He's obviously a Dodger.
It depends. So if they come in with a name from a previous home, we do try to keep that because we think it's important that they have that kind of sense of familiarity. If they're strays, then we get to name them, and sometimes we can be quite creative. We've got Mulder and Scully here, so somebody was an X-Files fan that decided to name them, which, you know, good job them. If it's a certain time of year, the Olympics, or you know, a film has come out, we'll sometimes play on that because that can get attention. And, you know, funny, quirky names can certainly get people like, oh, I'm an X-Files fan. How great would it be if I had Mulder and Scully living with me? So, yeah, we can get quite creative and have fun with it.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. So he's settled down now.
Yes.
He was doing his little performance.
He was
attention
it's
seeking.
kind of silly. Some of these cats do sell themselves quite a bit, and that's why sometimes when we have people coming to site thinking they have an idea of what they want, and then they see Spotty here or the Artful Dodger, just basically pining and big puppy dog eyes or kitty cat eyes, whatever you want to call it. They completely change tack and think, oh wait, actually that's the cat for me. So.
And have you got your own cat, JoAnna?
I have, yes, I have Clementine at home. She's 13. She was a rescue. She was a little 5-week-old kitten someone found out and about, and I brought her home to foster. And that was the end of that. And then I had another one called Puffin, who was a silver tabby with thumbs, so she was polydactyl. And she was from a feral colony, so basically just these unsocial cats living amongst themselves, and someone was feeding them. She was trapped at 5 weeks old, brought in to basically see if she was social. I took her on foster. That was the end of that as well, but I recently just lost her in May.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so Clementine's not upset. They weren't the closest, and now Clementine rules the roost, so I guess, yeah. But keep me on my toes, she's a great little cat.
Is she a black cat?
She's not. We did have a black cat as well who passed away a number of years ago. Clementine is actually a Torby, so she's a tortoiseshell tabby kind of mix. And she's very chatty, and she's constantly yelling at me for attention, food, something.
I mean, their vocals fascinates me, because obviously dogs bark, and you can understand your own dog's barks to different stimuli, like the postman bark or, or a passerby bark. But with cats, I mean, last night, Baggy came in yesterday evening, comes through the gap in the window, and he honestly has learned to go, hello. So now with Baggy, I go, hello, Bag, hello.
You can't help but answer them back sometimes.
But the range of vocals is extraordinary, and he's quite chatty.
Vocalizations in cats is an interesting thing, because they don't vocalize to each other unless it's sort of, the queen to their kittens, or during, say, a fight, and they're trying to, scare their opponent, or, vocalize growling, hissing. But they've basically learned that if they vocalize to people, they get something. So there's different kinds of vocalizations that are like, soliciting attention, soliciting food, let me in, whatever it might be. And they've learned this. So I think that says that, in terms of the sociability of cats, and their intelligence, that they've basically trained us in a way, to get what they want from us by vocalizing.
Because I did read a study that some of their cries are on the same wavelength as a baby crying.
Yes.
So, at 4 a.m, when Baggy, he still hasn't really learnt the cat flap, I'd wake up, because his cry would, wake me, and extraordinary. And that again is so clever, though.
Absolutely. They know what they're doing, and it's that, it does kind of tap into that maternal instinct. They know that you're going to get up and you're going to unlock the door and let them in. They know if they do this particular, vocalization, that something's going to happen. And I think we also sort of encourage that a little bit, and we kind of keep it going. We perpetuate it because we give them what they want.
Exactly.
And I think it shows just how intelligent they are as a species, and how much they surprise us every day with these things that we're learning. They're fascinating creatures.
They really are. No, I love it. I want to learn a lot more, to be honest. Yes.
I can definitely recommend some books. And
I've read Zazie Todd's actually called Perfect, which I did love that.
I've not read that.
We could swap.
Yeah, a book swap. That's a good
swap.
idea.
Let's do it.
One of the best books, Dr. John Bradshaw.
Oh yes, I've got it.
Cat Sense.
Yeah, Cat
So
Sense.
that goes through the
that.
domestication process.
Yes.
But even how cats were seen in history, the whole witch thing, and how cats are seen today, and some of the challenges that they face living in a very built-up world. There's an oversaturation of cats in urban environments, so they're fighting a lot more, territories being impinged upon, and things like that. And he kind of argues. He was one of the first to argue that cats as a species aren't even completely domesticated yet. They're still very wild. and we're trying to force them into this kind of domestic environment, which sometimes some cats can fail to thrive in. Which leads me on to another point, in that we have what we call our working cat program. So that is for cats who may not be that social. They might be more along the kind of feral or semi-feral spectrum. They don't want to be with people. They don't want to live in a home. They just want to do their own thing. So we'll find something like a stables or a farm, or we've just had one go to a garden center where they can just be left to their own devices, but they have shelter, they've got food, they'll get vet treatment if they need it.
Yeah.
And they live the life of Riley. They almost live the life that cats have always meant to live.
Yes, yeah.
And so we always look at each individual that way, that, not all cats fit into this pet cat box. So I think that's an important thing to remember when just thinking of cats as a species and what's best for them.
Absolutely, and I think it's very important for anyone listening wanting to adopt a cat or bring a cat into their life, because you may go and pick a kitten and find out that kitten actually is like, do you know what, I want to be outside, I don't like you, or they're more difficult to train and socialise, so you've done the work.
Well,
so you can make that match.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing, is that we find out as much information about the cats coming into our care as possible. So we talk to the previous owner if they've had one. We find out where they got the cat from. When did it start interacting? What is its sociability level? Likes, dislikes, does it like actually being touched, and things like that. And we try to get that information because we want to do what's best for the cat at the end of the day. And ideally, we would love to know things like the genetic profile of the kittens that come into us, because even genes can play a part in how sociable they are.
I'm sure.
Who was dad, who was mom, how much were they socialized as kittens, because that's crucial to cats, basically, kittens becoming robust pet cats, is socialization, handling, being in a home environment, things like that during, their sensitive period, which is between the ages of 2 weeks and 8 weeks. And if they don't get that, then they will struggle as a pet. And so we try to find out as much as we can. When they do come into us at that age, we have our kitten socialization program to ensure that they are getting that socialization, either on site or on foster. And that includes things like touching their paws, looking in their ears, things that they might expect out of vets, but also things they might expect to come across in a pet home. So, listening
in their mouths,
look in their mouths,
practicing the toothbrush,
exactly,
maybe,
everything,
everything.
Feel along their back just in case there's any lumps or bumps.
Get the brush out for
brushing, different litter substrates, different sounds. So the TV, the Hoover, children, everything, and that's so key to creating these really robust, friendly, bold cats that can then cope not only in a pet home but also here with us. At Battersea, because we want to make sure they're okay while they're waiting for their forever home as well.
Yes, it's interesting that Dodger's kind of gone a bit into himself, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's in a loaf position.
He's loafing.
The loaf positions, the loaf, I mustn't talk too loudly, is an interesting, isn't it, when they're healing themselves a bit? They're kind of, a bit like when you might suck your thumb or whatever. It's like a healing posture.
It's just very a relaxed posture, because everything's tucked in, so they don't have their weapons to hand. So the paws are tucked in, everything's tucked around them. Some cats can choose to sleep like that, and they'll be perfectly comfortable. He's now curled up a bit, and again, he seems quite comfortable, but he is half listening.
He really
now
is.
He's really showing off, isn't he? He's
really
turning his head.
But you see, this is the thing, it's the knowingness of cats.
Yeah.
I'm a great fan of a scientist called Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, who studied telepathy. And because with Gremlin, my first cat, I actually just thought, Gremlin, come home now. Particularly when it got sort of emergency. It's like, where are you? It's midnight, curfew, and I'd get a bit anxious, and it would be this real sort of fierce worry. The next thing, he'd be through the cat flap.
It's amazing,
and I was going to film it all and do this whole sort of study for Rupert, but sadly I never got around to it, and then that's how it is. But I'm practicing with Baggy, this telepathy thing, and I've noticed when I just really think, Baggy, where are you? He appears.
He just appears.
Oh no, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
See, it's a really massive thing that I think.
It's interesting you say that, because I have. We've got sort of cameras in our house. When my husband and I are out, they'll come on, and so we can see what Clementine's up to. And I've done this little test where if I see someone walking up to the door to knock, she runs and hides. But if it's us coming up to the door to say we're home, and I've tried to be really, really quiet just so I don't make noise, she doesn't run and hide, and she's just sat waiting for us before we've even gotten to the door.
You've got to read.
So I think
Sheldrake's.
there must be something.
Dogs That Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home. It's a whole book, and loads of studies done, and it will blow your mind. But I do believe she knows it's you, and she probably has been sat there for a good few minutes. In fact, the test is when you decide you're leaving wherever you'll be, in the supermarket or wherever, and think, let's go to the car now, or whatever. And then tally that thought when think that was at 4:02, and then look at the video and see if at 4:02, I bet you she's made moves to come to be by the door. Just hazarding a guess, but this is what he proved. Amazing. He did it mainly in dogs, but it's the same in cats, if not more, I think.
That's like that sixth sense, isn't
yes,
it?
it is. This sixth sense, which I'm fascinated in. I mean, look at Dodger. I mean, crumbs, honestly, I'm in love with him. So I do like a cat.
He's really trying. He's
trying.
He's just advertising. We've now got a cat on his back with his belly in the air.
That's it, because that's it.
Which actually is a good thing to talk about, because a lot of people might think this is an invitation, right, to stroke the belly.
Yes.
And if anything, by going into the belly, it's a little bit of we're kind of betraying his trust, because those are all the sensitive organs, and that's everything. He's telling us he's comfortable enough to present his vulnerable area to us. So if we go in and say, Gucci goo, let's have a fuss, he's like, whoa, wait a minute, I've just told you I'm comfortable, and you're violating that. So there are some cats that love a belly rub, but for the most part, that's a very vulnerable area to them. It's soft tissue, and if they get injured there, it's pretty dangerous. So they generally don't like to be touched in the belly area. That's a bit of a misconception about belly rubs and things like that. Again,
very
some
different
cats,
to dogs.
Very different to dogs. And I think that probably leads to a lot of people try to put cats into a dog box and treat them like little dogs. There was a recent article saying that people were putting their cats on harnesses and taking them to the pub.
I've seen a cat in my local park, and I thought, have you gone mad?
Yeah, and it's a scary thing for a cat to be constrained and not able to control where they can go and what they can do. And I think it does take away that control from a cat by doing that. Whereas we would always say, just let them go outside into their garden and of their own volition, have full control over what they're doing, because they are control freaks. They need the ultimate sense of control and the choice to do what they want to do.
Yeah, they are control freaks. That's a really interesting expression. Gosh, I think Dodger is quite a card, actually.
He knows what he's doing.
He does.
Let's hope there's an owner out there, because we always love reuniting if we can, and we can even. I'm sure we would happily get him microchipped for the owner as well. So hopefully next time he goes wandering, we can get him back home.
Yeah. Oh, that is so great. Well, Dodger, I wish you all the best. And maybe in a different life.
Yeah. We'll keep you posted on his story.
Definitely, I'd love that.
So the main sort of quote-unquote breed that we get in is just the Moggy, your typical domestic short hair, domestic long hair, whatever. We do get sort of other breeds in, but they are by far the most that we have. And I think with the Moggies, you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone that doesn't agree with me that they are the best. They are the best cats. They've oftentimes they're the healthiest because they don't have the genetic, the congenital issues as a lot of breeds have. Temperament-wise, they're lovely. They're, just lovely cats. So we always try to promote that kind of Moggy, mixed, the mutts really. Nothing against the breeds, and we do have some, like I said, Maxwell here is a bit of a La Perm mix, we think. We often get Bengals in, Persians.
Bengals can be difficult, can't they?
Yeah.
They're sort of the bull terriers of the cat world.
Yeah, they are quite territorial. They often fight a lot with other cats.
And they're not that big, but they're tiny but mighty.
They are, and I think they just know their own minds, and they do need very careful owners who, probably can offer them cat flap access, 24-hour cat flap access, maybe a rural home where they won't come into contact with too many other cats. That's
a good idea. And what do you think of this recent development, this XL bully cat, that seems to be some sort of, exaggeration of the Sphinx, which I've always thought is a bit weird that I know you can get the Mexican hairless in dogs,
Yeah.
and obviously they came from Mexico where it's hot, but should cats be hairless?
Well, I think the Sphinx, I'm not 100% certain on their kind of previous development. I mean, they have developed and they are what they are, give or take. With the XL bully, or the bully dwarf cats, I think.
They've got big bowed legs.
And just looking at the Sphinx, they do require a lot of maintenance. So they don't have fur. When they groom, it doesn't necessarily get rid of the oils on their skin. They have to be kind of bathed a little bit and just taken care of. They go out in the sun, they're at risk of sunburn and then potentially skin cancer. They can get too cold. And so now we have breeders who have created this sort of bully dwarf cat who is not only hairless, but if you look at photos of them, they clearly have joint issues. Their legs are too short. They're going to be at risk for osteoarthritis. They're overweight, they're too big. And in fact, when I've looked online at these cats, I rarely see videos of them moving, which I think is interesting, that maybe there's a pain element there. I think they are there just to avoid after the XL bully dog ban, and it's a shame because it is just a money-making scheme at the expense of the welfare of cats.
Yeah, it's shocking, I
it
must
is
say.
And that's why Battersea does not support those as a breed, and we certainly, we don't agree with the breeding of them. It's just the welfare implications are disastrous, and it's a shame that these poor cats now are out there. But
I know, it's just people are exploiting animals, to earn a quick buck. Maybe
Exactly.
This cost of living crisis, I think, is driving people to do crazy things and breed, from their animals.
I think. And not only that, but we've also seen, like I said, in the last 5 years, is the highest number of cats in our care. Part of that, yes, maybe the pandemic and lockdown, but probably the cost of living crisis as well.
Yes.
Vet bills and just the cost of owning a cat, it can be quite high, and if they get sick. So whenever we think about rehoming a cat, it's always so important to do your research. Look at how much it costs to feed a cat for a year, how much are vaccinations, flea and worm treatment, any necessary, surgeries and things like that. Can you afford it, and are you in a position to make sure that it is a lifetime, commitment? So.
It is a commitment. I would say, pets are a commitment. They're not a convenience.
Exactly.
That's the thing. They're not just for lockdown or for Christmas.
No, they're for life. They should be.
Exactly.
But there's so much information on our website about the costs of owning a cat, what to think about, what to consider, if you have children, what kind of cat is best. If you've got another cat, how to introduce them. There's loads of stuff on our website, just in case anyone is looking to rehome from us, as well as all of the lovely profiles of the cats that are available for rehoming, including Maxwell, and Spotty is on there, and maybe Artful Dodger if sadly we can't reunite him.
May I film Dodger just in case?
Yeah.
And put him into this reel so people can see his funny face.
Absolutely.
Let's see if he'll perform for us, because he's so confident, isn't he?
Yeah.
Gosh. So JoAnna, is this where, prospective, rehoming people will come and have a look and see all the cats through their glass doors?
Yeah, so where we are now is our rehoming floor. So this is where the cats will basically come to once they've had all of their, operations and their vaccinations and microchipping. They've all got their little write-ups and their profiles on the pen door to kind of advertise themselves. And then we do have two other floors, which we've got our intake floor and then our sort of maternity, mums and kittens floor. And those cats are still waiting for things like operations and behavioural assessments. But eventually, they'll move down to this floor when they're ready for rehoming. Unless they're extremely fearful, nervous, we may keep them up there just where it's quiet. But we can care for, and I believe at the moment we're around the 200 mark, so 200 cats. And that is just because it has been, this year especially, we've seen such an influx of cats coming into our care.
Yeah.
Not only us, but I believe it's sector-wide. So across the charity sector, animal welfare sector, we've seen an explosion of cats coming into charities.
Oh, it's such a shame. Dear Jack Frost, he's quite big, isn't he?
He is a big boy, yeah, Jack Frost. So even, it's similar to the black cats. We also see white cats as not being as desirable.
Gosh.
I don't know why. I think he's lovely, and he's got a bit of a sad story in that he was left in his home for 3 months on his own, sadly because his owner had to go into hospital and they didn't have family to care for him. The local warden was luckily kind of feeding food through the letterbox just to keep him going, just because all of the rescues were full. And then she got in touch with me, who's a friend of mine actually, and I got him in. So he's doing really, really well. Beautiful, cuddly boy. So sweet. I love him. He's great.
Yeah, he's smart, you know, he's not demanding. Yeah. He's just sitting it out. I think he's learned, you know, his
biding
asset.
his time.
Yeah, biding his time. You know, very different from the Artful Dodger in character, I'd say.
I think if somebody's looking for a nice lap cat, someone to just a cuddle bug, he is your man. He is so affectionate. He's beautiful. Yeah.
I can't urge people enough to come down and, you know, because it is morally mandatory now, I think, you know, to rescue. It really is.
Rescue. I mean, we've got our campaign, Rescue is our favorite breed. It's true. And there's so many beautiful cats here that, again, with the full assessments that we do, behavioral assessments, we get to know them inside and out, as well as all of the medical that's been done for them. It makes sense to rescue a cat. You know, everything is, you know, you get this complete behavioral assessment that you can take home and read up on the likes and dislikes and what this cat needs and prepare everything beforehand and know exactly what you're getting. So
it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a much safer option, I think, than you know, buying online. I mean, it's one of my biggest pet hates, this online purchasing of live animals. I don't know why it's not banned. I know people are trying to. I mean, but through the pandemic, I suppose it had its explosion. And I'm sure with cats, I mean, I know with dogs there's this awful puppy farming racket that, again, was supposed to be stopped, but government shelved the bill that was going to look at that. But, you know, it's just fueling sick puppies to go onto the internet, and people actually think now it's normal to buy a dog or cat on the internet, and so they don't understand. Before, you know, I mean, fortunately, being old enough to remember life before the internet, you know.
I feel like it was much better then, you know.
Oh, it definitely was.
Everything was so easy.
Yes.
But yeah, it's the same with cats, and you get like a lot of the kitten smuggling as well.
Really?
The kitten mills or the kitten farming. But we have seen a lot of cats coming in from, I got this cat on Gumtree and it's just not working out, or I got this kitten on Gumtree and it's way too young to be away from its mom, very sick, and you know we take them in. You know, we do have a non-selective intake policy, so we will take them in and we give them the utmost care, vet care and everything, and try to nurse them back to health. But we have seen that dark side of those, you know, cats and kittens that shouldn't they shouldn't be on the internet. And
there must be a way, you know, of lobbying government to. So it's all very well, you know, buy your Hoover or whatever, you know, online. That's absolutely fine. I mean, it's quite convenient, but not live animals. I've even heard that horses are being sold on the internet. I mean, can you imagine buying a horse then?
Not really.
No, really, no. I mean, no, because we live in London, but it's a bit impossible, sadly. You know, but look, Jack Frost.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah, he wants to join in the interview. Yeah, he is.
He raises his paw, sort of like me. You know, he just knows what he's doing. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, because one of the things that we always message is if you need to give up your cat, bring them to a rescue.
Yes,
no judgment.
We don't online.
Exactly. You know, they'll come to us. We'll take care of them. It's much better than either abandoning them or putting them online or, you know, unscrupulous, whatever. It's always better to try to bring them to a rescue. We understand things change, circumstances change, no judgment at all. So we would just message that as much as possible.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
And looking at this, they're great. They're having a really good time. Well, you never know, Jack. Your future home might be coming to see you today, Jack. You never know.
I think Spotty might be happy to meet him.
They're going to meet him. Gosh.
A real life roaming match. That's really sweet.
That really is sweet. Oh, gosh. Well, look, JoAnna, thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
That's our show, Mr. Binks. What did you think? Yes, don't worry. I know we've got one cat and we can't have two, even though I have to say, I was very tempted by a cat called the Artful Dodger. And you're right, it is time for Woof of the Week. Please remember that buying dogs and cats online is quite a modern phenomenon that invariably could end in tears. And if you're looking to bring a new pet into your life, there's nowhere better to look than Battersea. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go on, please rate and review the show wherever you tune into your podcasts. Thanks again, of course, to the team at Battersea for allowing us to come down and meet so many amazing cats and amazing dogs. And of course, all the links are in the show notes. Thanks, of course, to Mike for all the music and production as ever, and you can find out more about him at Pod People UK. And if you want to find out a bit more about me, either head to my website, annaweb.co.uk, or give me a follow on Instagram at annawebdogs. What's that, Mr. Binks? Yes, you're right. We will be back in your feed next Sunday. So why don't you subscribe? Because it's free. And that way, you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.